Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Esports Overwatch All-Star Brawl. My name is Dividing. I am joined by the wonderful Juggle God, and we are here to give you a heavyweight match between GeForce and Death Computer. Juggle God, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling fantastic, Dividing, and I am absolutely ready for this fantastic Overwatch match. We've got GeForce going up against Death Computer, and with two names like that, I am sure we're going to see lots of fireworks today.
Yeah, it's actually quite the treat that we're going to be seeing this matchup so early in this tournament, Juggle God. Both GeForce and Death Computer, well, I don't think they ever played each other directly. They both made it all the way to the top four in the Will English Invitational a couple months ago. So these guys definitely have a ton of clout, a ton of respect in the tier 3 community. G4 spouting names like Strider, Ultima Web, Magic 8 Ball, guys who, if you have been around the tier 3 community, you really know. Meanwhile, Death Computer are a little bit more unknown, but they have been uh, really tearing apart their competition recently.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they're both going to fare in today's matchup. Like you said, two top teams. This could be a preview of the playoffs once again. So, really looking forward to this. I think it's an important matchup, and I'm happy that we get to cast it. Now, before we move any further, though, I want to remind everybody that the MVP voting will be available very soon. So, remember to type in who you want for the MVP because that is who we will be interviewing after the match as well. So make sure to get those in. You can put it in anytime you want, though. Probably gonna advise you to wait until the match starts, though. At least
Hey,
do that, I think.
hey, if you're really confident in your guy Strider bringing home the Wrecking Ball plays, then you may as well just vote right now. Because it is almost guaranteed, in my opinion, that we're going to be seeing this guy pop off today. They named their entire team off of scientifically enhanced guinea pigs for a reason. They play around the Wrecking Ball a lot of the time. That means Strider is the focal point. This main tank player has really exploded onto the tier 3 scene in the last couple of months due to mostly his Wrecking Ball play. So I'm super excited to see him work.
Well, that is music to my ears right there, Dividing. As many of you may know, I am a Wrecking Ball main, so I am more than just a little bit excited to see Ryder come out on that phenomenal hero. Now, one thing I do want to mention is we have some new stats coming out. We have a new workshop code as well.
Exciting.
So some of you may have experience with this as well, but you're going to see a lot of numbers on the screen, and it's going to be damage dealt, damage taken, healing, how many ults been used, and then kills, deaths, and assists. And in addition, you can see which abilities are on cooldown for each player as well. So lots of information there. We're going to try and keep you apprised of it. It's a lot for us to sift through as
Yeah.
we are casting, so we will do our best. But that's going to be there for everybody to be able to check out. And I, for one, am excited that Refused and the rest of the Overwatch All-Star Brawl team has put this together because it's just fantastic to be able to, take a little peek and see how your favorite players are doing. This should also help with the MVP voting, I think, as well.
Yeah. And there were some formatting updates with how these numbers are presented before. Before they were all just kind of thrown together on the
Right.
screen, and it was difficult to figure it out. The format has been updated, so now things are a lot more lined up. There are some lines that separate different sections. It's going to be really easy to find, for example, the number of ults used, as you'll see as we start heading into our first map of Blizzard World. Ults used is such a crazy metric because obviously, a very easy way to tell who's getting more value on a team is who's getting their ults more often, who is using them more often. So, super excited to see how that ends up playing out in this match. Of course, the Blizzard World is a map where you could really get those wrecking ball plays, like I was talking about for Strider. And on the defense is GeForce. They're gonna be coming out with that wrecking ball composition.
Yeah, that they are, and I am excited to see how it's going to work out. You don't typically think of Blizzard World as a Wrecking Ball map, especially on defense, but it absolutely can be done. That high ground that Anyhow is sitting on right now is very, very useful to stage dives from, to pick apart, poke apart compositions during rotations, things like that. So I'm going to be looking to see G-Force do something along those lines. But Volby, not to be outdone, is on the wrecking ball as well. And it looks like we're going to get a kind of a disruption composition coming out from Death Computer as well, as Strider rolls back to his team.
Yeah, the major difference here is going to be Anyhow on the Diva for G-Force, while Moving Fish is on the Sigma for Death Computer. So they're going to have that shield to play around if you're Death Computer, which makes you a lot more lethal on potential off angles, but just having the defense matrix is so big.
That it is. Death Computer taking a very long rotation to get around to the backside of the point. Typically we see this with brawl compositions, but it can be used here as well. I like this stall that Strider has on the high ground here, waiting for the opportune moment to come in. He's going to roll through the high ground, almost boops Clover off the map, but a shield bash saves them, and that's going to be Ultima Web actually taking the first kill. Hanbei is out of the fight as well, so there's one pick on either side. 5v5 could still go either way, but it really looks to me as though G-Force has a little bit better hold on the situation. They've been able to maximize their positioning in a really efficient way, surround the members of Death Computer, and send them back to spawn.
Yeah, losing Hanbei so early on in that fight was pivotal for Death Computer. These compositions are so reliant on that Zenyatta, on that Discord Orb, being able to make your engagements just that much more lethal. Now, with that Zenyatta going down first, we now see Li Muyang with nearly 50% of an advantage on Transcendence over Hanbei. And, I mean, there's so many check marks on the side of G-Force right now. And already almost 2 minutes on the clock. There was so much setup for a Death Computer for very little result.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Dragon Strike thrown into the center of point, but each of the members of G-Force are able to easily kite away from it. Strider comes down from his perch on that high ground, slams into the team. Clover's going to be the first to fall this time, and without that support online, it's going to be up to Hanbei to try and keep their team alive as they continue to push in and try and find value here. Strider almost goes off the map once again, but is able to avoid a watery demise as he starts to come back into the fray. But crucially, Clover is back now for Death Computer, so they're going to have a better chance to push in now.
Yeah, but they just have been going on the outskirts of this fight already with 90 seconds left on the clock, and not much has happened. Ultima Web going down might be an opportunity, though.
Wow, but Anyhow comes in with a massive self-destruct in favor of G-Force. 2 members out of the fight almost immediately, and with them down, the rest of Death Computer is going to fall. Rose takes a trip to a watery grave, and with that, there's just a minute left on the clock for Death Computer to try and make something happen.
They have to get it done here. With how long Death Computer has been taking to get set up in these fights, this is probably their last good chance. You have the rally, you have the Transcendence, you probably also have the Gravitic Flux. That's a lot of potential pressure you can put on to Li Muyang, who Transcendence can only really do so much.
That's a very good point. Both support ultimates popped now for Death Computer. They're going to try and push in hard with all of this extra healing and shields, but Li Muyang is there to counter with a Transcendence of their own a little bit later. Gravitic Flux comes out now from Moving Fish, slams a couple members into the ground. Magic 8-Ball and Pummy are going to be long for this world now, and with that, Death Computer going to be able to take this first point of Blizzard World and start to get this card moving.
And I have to give a shout out to Moving Fish there. Their patience was I think the turning point in that fight. You wait until the Zenyatta on the other side has used the Transcendence, and then that's when you let the Gravitic Flux go. That is, I mean, at that point, G-Force was really depleted on resources, depleted on ultimates, and with that, Death Computer were able to come out ahead.
That they were. They're starting to get this point moved, but already we see a pulse bomb eaten by Rose. Moving Fish taking someone out of the fight as well, but it's gonna be G-Force once again coming out a little bit better in this fight, especially after the rallies popped by Magic 8-Ball, but Ultima Web is out of the fight, so this isn't over yet for Death Computer, and they have a distinct spawn advantage as well.
Yeah, and Lee Mu-yong is actually popping off here on the Zenyatta right now. Getting ready to, I think, almost lap Hanbei in Transcendence percentage. Actually, no, I think I'm wrong about that. Never mind, disregard me. But Death Computer is going to be trying to push back in with the Dragon Strike. But Pummy taking down Bulby is going to make sure that they're going to take a little bit more time here. They need the Wrecking Ball for the engage, especially since Bulby has the mines up. And Moving Fish is also very close to the Gravitic Flux. So many engagement tools for Death Computer in this fight.
Yeah, they certainly are. They really have, I think this is their fight to lose, but Dragon Strike used early from Pummy. Ultima Whoop taken out of the fight, but Clover isn't long for this world either, and they crucially had that rally online ready to go. And Hanbei is forced to use that Transcendence once again, but here comes another Gravitic Flux from Moving Fish as well. Bulby slams onto the point to try and find a little bit of value, but all they find is a mine from Strider, and with that, this fight going to go the way of Death Computer, but very, very slowly. Rose is removed from the fight, but Death Computer does have this card under control again. Ultima Web comes in for another Pulse Bomb, and this time it does find Moving Fish, who is slowed down to Stopping Fish, as a matter of fact, from that. So, G-Force coming out ahead in this fight after an early looking lead from Death Computer, and crucially, there's less than 30 seconds on the clock.
It's been a very feast or famine kind of map for Ultima Web so far. 6 final blows so far on this map, but also 5 deaths. Some very aggressive Tracer play coming out from G-Force, which has helped them and hurt them so far. But got to keep an eye on Ultima Web in the back here, trying to take down Hanbei, who is currently kind of vulnerable without any kind of Transcendence.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think one of the keys here is the fact that the DPS of G-Force really have been doing a significantly better job of staying alive than the members of Death Computer. Bulby gets discorded, removed from the fight early, but they're traded for Anyhow, who had the self-destruct. Magic Main Ball commits the rally once again to allow G-Force to push in, and Strider drops the minefield as he gets a grappling claw, a kill onto Rose, with Clover out of the fight too. That's gonna do it. And G-Force holds on about halfway through Street's phase of Blizzard World.
I mean, we were talking about the stats, the Wrecking Ball of, we were talking about the Wrecking Ball of Strider going into this game as being one to watch. Look at these stats. He is leading Bulby in damage dealt. He has way less damage taken. He has 8 final blows in this game. That's better than anyone. He's leading the lobby right now in final blows with just 1 death. In comparison, Bulby is 1 final blow for 4 deaths. I think this Wrecking Ball play from Strider has been the difference maker so far.
I think you're absolutely right. And Ultima Web as well has been doing a fantastic job. They haven't stayed alive, maybe as well as their counterpart, Pummy, but they do have 7 final blows as well. So excellent play from them too.
Yes, and now it is a very winnable situation coming out from G-Force, stopping Death Computer just prior to the end of point B. It is a pretty defensive spot, but it didn't quite get there to the end. So a very defensive position taken up from Death Computer right now with the Orisa Diva composition. They're going to be looking to try and hold on to this high ground for as long as possible. Meanwhile, we're seeing a lot of the same coming out early from G-Force here. Look out for Strider and Anyhow to be dislodging everyone off the high ground.
Yeah, I'm sure that has to be prime on Strider's mind right now, because if you can disrupt this bunker composition, you can get tremendous value. Rose drops down to the low ground, and we see Strider just waiting for a minute for an opportunity for the rest of his team to get in position. Now that they're there, they're going to be able to start moving in and take away the high ground. The high ground was actually just given up by Death Computer. They decide to move to the low ground, and I'm not sure that was entirely the correct move right there, as Strider is now in the back line, getting ready to once again try and disrupt this bunker composition, but he's finding a little bit of problems from Rose as well, who's forced to use that recall, and now Strider has an opportunity to maybe even pick them out of the fight. They do, as a matter of fact, and without that Tracer to control those flanks, Strider and the rest of G-Force are ready to go in.
Yeah, you see just how the members of G-Force surround the members of Death Computer like they have them in a mousetrap right now, and they just take them out. It's a tough decision there to get off of the high ground because on one hand, you know that Strider is going to just get value by rolling through you, getting pile drives off on you, knock people off the high ground, and if one of you gets off the high ground, your entire place gets discombobulated and you are just pretty much dead in the water. But that's why you start off with the Hanzo, is so that you can take advantage of that high ground position to get some good poke in. So it's tough. It ends up biting them in the butt, but I don't know if Death Computer was gonna win either way.
Yeah, and with a start like this for GeForce, things are looking fantastic for them. Bulby and Hanbei out of the fight after a couple of early picks means that there's hardly anybody left from Death Computer. So GeForce going to be able to get this cart moving very, very quickly. And at this point, there may be just one fight left for Death Computer to try and hold out. Two if they're lucky.
Yeah, they've got to move quick, though, if they want that second fight, and that's why we see Bulby and Moving Fish swapping tanks to try and match what G-Force is doing right now. But that means that the ultimates have been reset. They're pretty much going in with a Pulse Bomb from Rose, and that's it.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very difficult to try and find big value with. It can if you are lucky, but it's almost considered a cooldown by a lot of people. Gravitic Flux comes in from anyhow, lifting several members of Death Computer into the air. Li Mu Yang pops the Transcendence as well, and with the card getting dangerously close to victory, nobody stops it! Nobody steps on from Death Computer, and GeForce takes this win in style.
Yeah, you lose your main point contesters in the Diva, and the Wrecking Ball was, I think, occupied as well. And the Transcendence is on the point. Everyone from G-Force surges forward and finally ends up finishing it off. A masterful first map there from G-Force. Death Computer just looked out of their depth.
Yeah, they certainly did, and I'm surprised, given, how well both of these teams performed last season, but GeForce certainly showing that they are a force to be reckoned with right now, and Death Computer, they're going to have to calculate a new way to try and come back into this.
I just don't think you win when you're both playing Wrecking Ball comps right now. Strider is going to prove it to that. If the other maps are going to be anything like this Wrecking Ball, anything like this Blizzard world was, it simply was in a lot of cases a Wrecking Ball difference. Strider was getting so much more value for his team than Bulby was, and so I think you've got to try and go to a map and play on a composition that's more not focused on trying to mirror G-Force and beat them at their own game, but try and lock them up, put in as much crowd control as you can, try and make sure that Strider's life is just terrible, and take him out early before he can get too much value on you.
I think that's a very good idea, and with the map ban coming in for Hanamura, it's now going to be up to Death Computer to choose where they want to go next, where they can try to mitigate the success that Strider has been finding on Wrecking Ball for himself and for the entire GeForce team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like King's Row coming out, something classically that's brawl-oriented, but it looks like we're going to be going to Lijiang instead, and frankly, I think this plays right into the hands of GeForce because, as Yeatle likes to say, we don't lose Lijiang.
Yeah, no one likes to lose Lijiang. It's such a beloved map. It's probably one of the most scrimmed maps in Overwatch other than King's Row. But yeah, I don't see how Death Computer figures they'd win this. Now, of course, there's Control Center, in which case Strider would probably be forced to swap off of Wrecking Ball onto a Reinhardt. GeForce will have to play something more brawly. Maybe Death Computer are banking that their brawl will be able to outdo GeForce. But when it comes to the other two Lijiang maps, it gets a little bit more iffy. Based on Blizzard World, I don't see how Death Computer wins Gardens. I think Strider on the Wrecking Ball, Ultima Web on the Tracer are just going to take over that map. So it kind of comes down to the night market where either Brawl or Disruption can kind of work. I'm looking forward to potentially seeing a clash of styles on that map, and whichever one comes out on top might end up being the overall winner here.
Yeah, I think you're right, and this is going to be interesting. We are starting out on night market first, so this could really be a clash of styles because the classic teleport into the window to get Brawl onto point is so powerful, but
Mhm.
it can be disrupted by a well-timed boop from Strider to put them into the courtyard in front of point instead of directly onto it. And if you do that, you can severely disrupt the Brawl's composition's ability to function and lock down that point, especially with so many different threats coming in from so many different angles. And it looks like this is exactly the matchup we're going to see. The disruption with that Pharah versus a Brawl composition.
Yeah, so expect for a Death Computer to get that early Symmetra teleport up into the window of the point, get onto the point first, maybe even capture it first, but then Ultima Web up from above, Pummy from the side, Strider from the side. There's going to be so many points of damage here for GeForce to work with, and it's going to be rough for Death Computer to be able to hold up against it. They already are forced to just back up in the corner here.
That they are, and look at how well this team, GeForce, has surrounded them so far. But the aggression coming out from the Rush composition, huge and fast. But anyhow is able to stave it off and take Salty out of the fight. Now it's moving back onto point as well, and well-placed teleporter gets members of Death Computer onto the point again. Salty has respawned now, so they should be back in the fight fairly quickly. With Hanbei popping this amplification matrix too, it's going to be hard for GeForce to stay in this fight. Lee Mu Young pays for it with their life, but Ultima Web already has the barrage online. Moving Fish, they are removed from their mech. Couple of picks in favor now of GeForce, and it looks like they are going to come away with this point control first. That is until a couple of members of Death Computer get back. Crucially, Bulby and Moving Fish both trying to come onto point, but that's going to be it. No one left from Death Computer.
I'm not sure what Salty was doing there, trying to go for some sort of Doomfist hero play when there was really nothing that you could do. Everyone on GeForce was looking at you. You're not going to get anything done as Doomfist, and now you have to wait another like 5 or so seconds for Death Computer to get another fight. Now there is a bunch of swaps. They're going on to a more divey composition. This will work a little bit better into what GeForce is running.
Yeah, it certainly will. They're not going to be able to, boop them around with quite as ease as they were before. One pick onto each support, though, is going to signal the beginning of this fight. Both Divas out of the fight as well, and with Minefield on point, this is going to be held very well by GeForce. They're almost halfway to winning this first sub-map on Lijiang.
And it has been dominant so far. We see the first fight win difference coming out right now on the side of GeForce. Look at the ultimates. Ultima Lep already used the barrage, is going to have another one in this fight, and we'll have 4 other ultimates to complement with it. We just have Clover's beat. Never mind, we don't have Clover's beat. He's dead.
No, there's no support, as a matter of fact, left for Death Computer. And with the members of their support lineup down, it's going to be easy pickings for the rest of GeForce, and they end this fight very early. Fortunately, Death Computer backs up, and they're going to get another complete fight here, and they have to win this one.
Yeah, you have that all-important EMP from Salty that has to be what gets you the advantage here. You have to make sure you hit multiple people and you're able to kill those people.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Sound barrier committed by Clover to get his team onto the point, but now that they're there, they are almost sitting ducks. But Pummel's removed from the fight after a well-placed EMP from Salty. Self-destruct online as well, but it's going to be Ultima Web coming in big with a barrage kill and another pick after that. But this is still going to go either way. 3 members down on each side, but it's going to be Rose coming in big with a couple of picks for Death Computer. That's going to signal the end of GeForce's reign on point.
Yes, finally Death Computer are able to come in. Again, good stuff on Salty. Only gets 1 with the EMP on Pummy, but is able to confirm the kill, and then gets a nice hack off onto Ultima Web to make sure that they don't get the full value out of their barrage. So, it has to be a perfect defense here, but it is a good start, and Death Computer will have Coalescence and Pulse Bomb to try and hold on to this.
Yeah, that they will, and those can be crucial ultimates. Hanbei pops that Coalescence early on, which is to be expected, and they're getting tremendous value out of it. It looks like they're going to be able to hold on for at least one more fight and give more trouble to GeForce.
And that's the perfect scenario for Death Computer. You only use the Coalescence to get that fight win, which means Rose holds on to his Pulse Bomb, and now you've given time for Bulby to bring up the Primal Rage. when it came to 99% fight, GeForce used everything in their bank to try and hold on to it. They couldn't do it, and they're still suffering the consequences.
Yeah, that they are, but you know who's suffering even more consequences right now, and that is GeForce, as several members go down. The flank from Strider and Ultima Wep just left the rest of their team out to dry, and now they're 70% on the board for Death Computer, and they do not want to let it go.
Yeah, all of a sudden now we find ourselves with 75% here for Death Computer. It's probably last fight territory here on Night Market, and Death Computer has 4 ultimates online, probably 5 with Han-based Coalescence coming up momentarily, while GeForce is probably going to have Mines, Bomb, Nano Boost, not as much.
No, not as much. EMP comes out and it catches 3 members, crucially the support line of GeForce, but it is Pummy who falls. Salty is removed immediately after that EMP though, and now that it is last fight territory, overtime has been triggered because in the midst of all that chaos, GeForce backcapped, and now Strider gets tremendous value with the minefield, and that's gonna do it. They come back at the last moment to take the first submap of Lijiang.
And again, it's Strider. He gave the spotlight over to his DPSs for most of that sub-map, but when it came to the end, there's Strider with such a smart play, rolling on over to the point. Death Computer is too preoccupied with what's going on outside of the point with their EMP to notice that Strider has flipped the point over, and then once Death Computer goes over to the point to try and contest it, that's when he unleashes the mines, and that's when all of Death Computer falls. Great stuff from Strider there.
It really was, and I mean, take a look at the deaths. Strider has not died once, compared to 5 for the main tank Bulby. So, excellent, you know, Strider, once again, really, I think, leading the way for GeForce. They are forced onto that Reinhardt, so now we've got the Strider Heart out to see if they can do some more damage. Looks like low ground control is going to go to Death Computer first, while GeForce wants to control that high ground. Maywall comes out to try and section off Strider, but the rest of his team is able to get there to keep supporting him. Pummy puts a teleporter down, but it doesn't look to be long for this world. Neither is Rose, as they're going to be the first to fall. Moving Fish, they are demeched as well, and with that, GeForce gonna force their way onto point and take control of it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risk on Ultima Wep's part going with the Junkrat. The spam damage from it could be huge, but it's also a little less consistent than the Cassidy on the other side. But it ends up coming up big, and now look at the DPS ultimates for Pummy and Ultima Wep. They're both going to be online with the Matrix and Li Muyong. This is a very powerful position for GeForce.
That it is. Hanbei is going to be forced, I think, to use this amplification matrix as an engagement tool as well to try and get as many members off of the point as they can. Here comes then the photon barrier right after that amp matrix. Photon barrier trying to keep things away from GeForce, and so far it is working in spades as Pummy gets 2 kills, and that's going to signal once again the demise of Death Computer.
Yeah, it's so difficult when you have a Symmetra just playing behind her barrier and is all charged up on her beam. That is so difficult to deal with. But now finally Death Computer are in a bit more of an advantageous position. You're going to have Shatter from Bulby. You're going to have Beat from Clover as well. Either of these things could be used to help progress and get yourself that crucial first pick.
That they can. They're going to have to deal with that shield of Striders, though. But Strider gets the flank shatter through the teleporter. An excellent play from both them and Pummy. Magic 8 Ball pops the sound barrier as well. And with that, Clover tries to use theirs as well, but it's not going to do any effect. And now we are once again cruising to last fight territory for GeForce.
And this is so tough for Death Computer. They have nothing. They might get Meteor Strike from Salty if they're lucky, but Ultima Wep's Riptire is going to be looking to end it right here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, what comes to an end is Bulby's tenure during this fight. 90% on the clock now, and look at how aggressive GeForce is getting. Ultima Wep does pay for it with their life as Moving Fish finds them out, but Magic 8 Ball is able to keep Salty in check and more. And now with just 3% to go, overtime is triggered by Rose. And now there's once again one of those photon barriers from Pummy. Self-destruct coming in from anyhow. Can anyone get away? It looks like they do, but only for a limited amount of time, as GeForce going to come out on top once again. Salty doing everything they can to stay in this fight, but they do eventually take their death, as Clover will be certain to as well. Hanbei trying desperately to get the point, but that's gonna do it. G-Force going up 2-0.
And I don't want to sound like I'm a broken record here. Ultima Weapon Pummy both had fantastic games. Anyhow did a great job of mitigating so much damage for the squad. I loved everything else I saw out of Li Mu Yong. But Strider did not die that map. He straight up didn't die. He was on Wrecking Ball at first, which is what we expected. We saw him make the swap to Reinhardt, and I thought this is where Bulby really has a chance to prove that he can stand toe-to-toe with Strider here. It just didn't happen. Strider did not die. That is so ridiculously difficult to do on main tank. Do you understand?
Yes.
Any main tank can tell you how often it feels like you go out of spawn and you go back to spawn, and you go out of spawn and you go back to spawn, because you're just the main focal point of damage so often. But Strider, I can't get it. That's so impressive to me that Strider went through that whole map without dying.
Yeah, that is absolutely tremendous. And given those stats, I want to remind everybody once again that MVP voting is live. So whoever you think is so far proving themselves amongst this cast of 12 heroes, be sure to vote for them. And it looks like we are going to be going. Oh, actually, I'm not sure if that was the official choice.
That was
no,
actually from G-Force, I think.
Yes, Strider actually in G-Force, they have banned King's Row, and I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense from them. So now it's up to Death Computer to see where they can go to try and mitigate once again this tremendous play coming out from G-Force. It's really looked top notch so far.
Yeah, it is going to be really tough. They're gonna pick Havana, which is a very interesting map. One of the few sniper maps that's in the pool right now. Because there's so many high grounds and long sight lines for someone like a Widowmaker or an Ashe, and it's not in the map pool, so I'm gonna cut myself off right there. But I was gonna say it's not the worst idea, because if you're thinking about a Wrecking Ball, a D.Va, a Tracer, and you're in a position where you have a high ground and the attacking team has to cover a lot of space in order to get to you, that gives you a lot more time to get some shots in on those characters, get some spam damage in, maybe even kill them outright before they even get to you. So I could potentially see Rialto working out. I know Rialto's in the map pool, and that has the same sort of deal with it, especially in the second point. I don't know if Junkertown's in the pool. I think
look that up. I want to echo your sentiments about Rialto. The moment that I heard Havana was not in the map pool, my mind immediately went to Rialto as probably the next best choice for Death Computer. Long sight lines, not a whole lot of opportunity to Wrecking Ball to get value, except for maybe on that second point where that high ground control is so powerful. Looking over that river and bridge that the attacking team has to cross on defense, it's just incredibly powerful if you're able to get set up in the halls above that street overlooking that canal. So I think Rialto would be a fantastic pick, and Moving Fish, they confirm what we both thought, and we will be going to Rialto.
Yeah, I've gotten confirmation Junkertown is not in the map pool, but Rialto definitely is, and I think this is a great choice from Death Computer to try and pin their winner's side bracket hopes upon. I think they actually have a really good chance of being able to come up with something that can effectively counter what G-Force wants to run here. Now, the Wrecking Ball compositions can definitely work on Rialto, but it does have some issues because the payload tends to take these sort of 90-degree turns all the time throughout the map. It gives Wrecking Ball and D.Va a lot less room to work and be as mobile as they necessarily want to be. So I think Death Computer, as far as it has not been particularly close so far, I'm not going to mince words here, but as far as maths to try and start turning things around, this is a good one to do.
I think so. I think this is where you could have a reverse sweep start for Death Computer, and I don't use that lightly because reverse sweep is the only way that they are now going to come out of this with a win. So they have to be perfect from here on out. And Rialto, excellent place for them to start. We're going to have, once again, GeForce on the defense first. And I, for one, am going to be very curious to see what they roll out with. I think Double Shield is a very strong composition here. You can run Brawl as well, but if I had to put my money on it, I think we're going to see another Wrecking Ball.
I would not be surprised in the slightest. They're named GeForce for a reason, and yes, that is exactly what Strider and Anyhow come out with. It has not failed them so far in this matchup, so why not change it? Why change it? You should not change it. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, exactly. Don't fix what ain't broke, right?
Yeah.
And so far, what isn't broke is this composition coming out from GeForce. It has worked very, very well for them. We see Strider has already cleared away some of the guardrails to provide ample opportunity for Boops to come in and to give them an Death Computer an all expenses paid trip to the canals. So Strider gonna get in position now for a Boop. An interesting looking rollout here. He really likes to stall on these ceilings. Every Wrecking Ball player has a very distinct playstyle, and look at that, a beautiful Boop onto Hanbei, but they're able to get back on. Strider also expertly lands on that back bridge as well, but because of those shenanigans, I think that the cart has been able to get a lot of progress, and with not very much value coming in from GeForce just yet.
I think that was the mark of a team that's played against Strider before. I saw every member of Death Computer looking out for the swing coming through from Strider. And now, here we go. This is what I was talking about here. Strider goes in, gets halted up by Volby, gets taken down early. So, for the first time really in this match so far, Strider has been shut down.
Yeah, that they have. And we've got a contest coming in once again from Strider, but picks on either side. Crucially, Lee Mu-Yang out of the fight, though, for GeForce. Without that, it's going to be up to Magic Mayfall to keep their team healed up. Moving Fish, they just respawn, so they're going to be back in the fight relatively soon. But Volby and the rest of Death Computer have moved this card tremendously far forward, and it's not showing many signs of slowing down, especially after Ultimate Web has been removed from the fight.
Yeah, and the Bob has come in from Pummy as well. Got a very fast Bob build, by the way, from the DPS of GeForce, but it goes down pretty early.
Yeah, that it does. And now with just 4.2 meters left to go, the supercharger has been popped, but the minefields take it out of commission. And now GeForce finally showing some signs of life on this first point. They're going to be able to hold at the last moment possible.
Yeah, and what a timely transcendence there from Lee Mu-Yang. Was able to get GeForce back into the fight, sort of ushered his team safely past the choke point with just the insane healing that Transcendence gives you. That is what eventually allows GeForce to come out on top again. However, we just need one more good fight here out of Death Computer in order to see the second point of Rialto. And you have plenty of ults to do it. Duplicate, Bob, and Diva Bomb are available.
Yeah, that they are, and that is going to be tremendous. If they can clear a lot of space with that self-destruct, they can move in with relative impunity. But Volby taken out of the fight by some excellent play from Lee Mu-Yang. Clover is able to get the res off, so they are back in the fight now. And this is getting dangerously close to completion, especially with Pummy being removed from the fight. Things are looking a little rough. Now for GeForce, they touch at the last moment. Hanbei crucially out of the fight, but Lee Mu-Yang falls as well. Anyhow, pops the self-destruct to try and keep things alive. But Volby coming out huge with a couple of picks, and that's going to be first point captured. Never mind, Strider is back in it, but there's only so much that they can do before they're removed from the fight. And Death Computer captures first point.
Yeah, great engagement there from Death Computer. Lose Volby early, but make sure you are all around the Mercy so that Clover can get a good res off and finally get yourself in good position to push this point through to the end of point A. So, now this is what we were talking about. The cart has already gotten past the bridge, but here come the ults for GeForce.
Yeah, that they do, and they come out, and for Strider gets a nice boop. Couple of people into the minefield that he just laid, and with that, it's gonna signal the end of this push from Death Computer, and they just barely got it over the bridge. This is not a typical place where you see a fight breaking out, but it has worked very well for GeForce.
Yeah, and not only now do you have to get across the bridge here if you're Death Computer, but you have to stay there for a minute. I think Ultima Wet messed up the blink there and ends up falling into the river, so this is actually a good opportunity for Death Computer.
Yeah, that it is, especially after they pop that amplification matrix too. They're going to be able to get many of the members of GeForce to back up.
Yeah, so losing Ultima Web there ends up being what allows Death Computer to push past the bridge and get to this sort of 90-degree hairpin turn. But now here comes the re-engage, but a Bob from Rose has something to say about that.
That it does. That Bob doing a tremendous amount of work right now, as is the rest of Death Computer. They're really pushing hard against this composition that GeForce is rolling out with. It might not be ideal here, and I think we're really starting to see a comp diff coming in. Death Computer showing some tremendous play here, but Ultima Weapon not to be outdone either. A Pulse Bomb comes in, doesn't land this time around, and crucially, Bolby has the Supercharger online, and it's committed as soon as he hears Bob running to point. A self-destruct coming in from Moving Fish, and they find Pummy in the back line, and with that, Death Computer going to continue their tear through Rialto.
Yeah, this is some great stuff from Death Computer, and a bit of a misplay coming up from GeForce right now. Your comp thrives in open areas where you can be extremely mobile, but you keep taking fights with Death Computers in these tiny rooms where Strider and Anyhow and Ultima Web have a lot of trouble getting value.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And now, speaking of value, this cart has made tremendous progress. Amplification Matrix out already, dealing tremendous damage into the waiting members of GeForce. Anyhow is removed from their mech, and with an Immortality Field out on point and gone in record time, it's going to be, once again, things looking good for Death Computer, but with a couple of picks in favor now of GeForce, things aren't over yet. This is a 4v4 on point, and now things are really starting to look a little bit better for GeForce as the spawn advantage is in their favor. Amplification Matrix committed now, and with Bob on point as well, that's going to be GeForce holding out.
And I have to give it up to Pummy there. Goes down at the end, but it took way too long for Death Computer to realize that the Ash was the real threat and put someone on him. With 1 second left on the clock, it is Bolby who gets a final overtime pick. But this is it right now for Death Computer. They have to get it done now or they're not going to get it done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and the picks are coming in hand over fist in favor of GeForce. Amp Matrix tried to be used by Hanbei there at the last moment. Moving Fish, they throw out their self-destruct as well, but it's not going to result in any kills, and that's going to do it. GeForce holds on right at the last moment of second point.
Yeah, and some great re-engagements there from GeForce at the end of second point to hold it here and get themselves in a position to take a pretty quick 3-0 here to advance to the winner semifinals of this bracket. GeForce, I think, are really looking to prove themselves as true contenders in the Tier 3 scene, and with a convincing win over Death Computer, who are definitely no slouches, I want to say. These are good players, but
yes,
losing in a way like this would definitely solidify GeForce as one of the top contenders in this tournament.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that they are really making a case for that right now, and anybody watching this should be afraid of GeForce and what they are showing, because they are looking top-notch right now. Death Computer, not to be outdone, though. They have shown some great play here, but it's just been edged out a little bit time and time again by what GeForce is throwing at them. And now with GeForce, they've got the golden box of victory in their sights. They know their win condition. They know how far they need to get it, but they're going to have to get through Bolby and the rest of this bunker composition to do it.
Yeah, this did not work out too well for them in Blizzard World, so I'm hoping this time around Death Computer are going to really hold their ground on this high ground up here. Even if Strider tries to get up there and knock you all off, don't give up this positioning, because if you do, Rose becomes a lot less of a threat on the low ground, and your entire composition starts to fall apart here. So
that it does.
Yeah.
and Strider already looking to find value, but it's Pummy who gets a nice headshot onto Rose, winning out that sniper battle initially. Strider tries to get some people moved off of the high ground, but they're unable to, and now things are still moving pretty well for GeForce, but they've run into a little bit of a problem down on the point as Bulby and the rest of Death Computer really have a nice hold started here. Pummy removed from the fight as well, and Clover gets a Discord on them too, but they back off and shake it off with relative impunity, and everybody from GeForce struggling to try and get this cart moving. Once again, Strider tries to boot people in, but there's nobody able to really follow up at the moment from GeForce, so the cart is just stalled out. And now Ultima Wep does get a pick onto Rose, but Limu Yang is removed as well, so really, I think that Death Computer has to be feeling good about this hold so far.
Yeah, absolutely. You're able to continue get time off of the clock. You're forcing these fights in these tight corridors, and Hanbei with the Amp Matrix gets a triple kill out of nowhere. And that is going to finally end things for good. GeForce is now going to regroup, but they're going to be coming in with the Amp Matrix of their own. Ultima Wep will have the Pulse Bomb, and Limu Yang is going to be coming up with the Transcendence in any moment now, as well as the Tank Ultimates and Strider. And anyhow, if this fight ends up going a little bit longer, GeForce have the tools to push through here.
That they do. Strider very far in the back line right now. They go down dangerously low, forced to back up. Here's that amplification matrix now being used on the high ground, but Salty's chasing out Strider very, very effectively. They're going to go all the way back to spawn to get heals, but in the meantime, it's the Limu Yang show coming in with a couple of big picks right there. Rally is used by Clover, but it may be too little too late because there's just too many members of GeForce on point.
Yes, and beautiful play there from GeForce, and Limu Yang not to be outdone by his support counterpart there with some beautiful Zenyatta picks through the Amp Matrix of their own. But Magic's Meatball's been picked off on the side by Salty. There's no Baptiste for GeForce. This is an opportunity for Death Computer.
That it is. Self-destruct doesn't catch anybody out in the back line, but Ultima Wep and Strider combine forces to get a couple of kills, and with 0.3 meters left to go and a Transcendence online, and Bob coming in big time for Pilmy. That's gonna be GeForce taking this point.
Bob did something. Good job, Bob. We're proud of you. That's about all the analysis I have for that one. But it did take just about everything that GeForce had in their pockets in order to push through to the end here. So other than Strider's Mines, which could, to be fair, get a ton of value here, we're gonna have to wait a couple of fights for the Elf pool to replenish.
Yeah, that we are. The rest does come out onto Limu Yang after an excellent pick. Bulby, though, removes them from the fight. Once again, they do not want that Zenyatta anywhere to be found. And with that, the floodgates open, and Bulby and the rest of Death Computer can take this fight for their own and push GeForce back.
Yeah, now this is what we were talking about here. Death Computer can get set up on this high ground now and try and take down the members of GeForce as they cross the bridge, but GeForce is moving so quickly that I don't think they've had enough time to get set up here, and Salty's already down.
Yeah, and with Salty out of the fight, that means that these flank lanes are open and ready. Strider gets the minefield online onto that high ground, but Bob is committed by Rose on the point. Hanbei's Immortality Field is out, but anyhow removes it from the fight as well. And the cart is continuing to move. Limu Yang pops that Transcendence to keep themselves alive as Moving Fish tries to get a pick onto them, but the self-destruct isn't successful, and in fact, they're removed before they can get back in their mech. Bob committed this time by Pummy, and it's going to start dealing damage in the backline, but once again, the Pulse Bomb finds Limu Yang and anyhow gets Clover. So with this, GeForce looking to be fueled to victory. They're just about to round this last, rather penultimate corner for this final, what could be this final fight. Strider gets another couple of picks, and Death Computer has to mount a defense. Otherwise, this is going to be over, and GeForce is to win. Bulby pops the supercharger as a last-ditch effort to try and keep everybody away, but it is taken out of the fight very, very quickly. And now the minefield again from Strider on point, just moving members of Death Computer out of the way. Bulby forced to use Fortify to keep themselves alive as they try to clear a tiny little bit of space for them to move on to point. but they're only going to last so long, especially after a headshot from Lee Moo-young. The minefield of Strider still finding value, but Salty is able to take Anyhow out of this fight. Anyhow, it's looking a little bit better still for G4. Strider goes down very, very low. They may be picked out by Salty. The pulse bomb does land on a Magic Mayfall, but crucially, Pommy has a couple picks on point. Make that 3. And with Moving Fish, the last tank standing right now and out of their mech. This is all but over. It is a 2v2 on point. Anyhow, drops in from the outside. Moving Fish doesn't move much longer. The reinforcements are in, but the kills still coming in favor of G-Force. And now that they're starting to get reinforcements, this is looking even tougher for them. Rally committed by Magic 8-Ball now, and that could be the gong that tolls the end of things for Death Computer. The self-destruct doesn't catch anybody, and again we've got a Transcendence from Lee Moo-young. This fight just won't end. Death Computer doesn't want to let him have it, but they're eventually going to give way, and that's gonna do it. G-Force comes away with a 3-0 victory over Death Computer.
And that is just how good this mobile comp is from G-Force. It looked for sure like they were eventually going to peter out there, especially once the Symmetra teleporter got set up for the side of Death Computer, meaning that once they come out of spawn, they could pretty much instantly get to the fight. I thought for sure when I saw that this fight was over, but G-Force are able to stall for just long enough to get everyone back on point, and they're able to stall just long enough to get their ultimates online. And that is what ends up being the difference maker here for G-Force as they take a convincing 3-0 win over Death Computer and move on to the next round.
Yeah, that was just tremendous play that we saw from G-Force coming out. I mean, what? I think you have to go back to Lijiang Tower, right? Where Strider didn't die. I mean, just that one statistic there alone just tells you how incredibly well G-Force played. And, you know, I want to mention, too, that, like, that doesn't happen in a vacuum. That wasn't just Strider's play. His whole team was responsible for keeping him up, right?
Yeah.
The support line, the off-tank, the DPS, right? Keeping pressure up. So it was absolutely incredible. So, you know, just tremendous play coming out from G-Force, and it's going to take something monumental to stop them in this tournament.
And I've got to give a quick shout out here to a player on G-Force that I don't think we talked about enough. Pummy on the side of G-Force was absolutely just locking down angles on the Ashe on Rialto. I've had by far, I think, the most final blows of anyone in that map. Rose tried to replicate their success on Death Computer's defense. It just didn't end up happening. Pummy was very much the focal point of the attack there from the side of G-Force, and I have to give a shout out to them because they really popped off there. And, you know, in a map where, in a game where, you know, Strider, Ultima Wep, Lee Moo-young, Magic Maypole, they got a lot of our attention, a lot of our praise here. They ended up not quite doing enough. Sorry, they ended up falling sort of to the background in favor of Pummy in that last fight. And, you know, you have to give a shout out to Pummy there.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Lee Moo-young as well. I saw them in the kill feed quite a few times. You did mention them just a moment ago, but I want to highlight them again because, you know, the Zenyatta, the glass cannon that is Zenyatta, was played expertly today by Lee Moo-young. Of course, they fell a couple of times to a tracer flank, but that's to be expected. You can't win all of those duels, but several of them did come out in favor of Lee Moo-young, and they got I remember just a killer headshot as well on that final point on Rialto. I believe it went into Bulby, but I don't know for sure certain. But we do have our MVP of the match, Moving Fish from Death Computer, in for an interview. So, how are you doing, Moving Fish? Sorry about the L tonight, but excellent play coming in from you.
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, just tremendous play from you today. To start things off, I know you took the L, but you have to be proud of what you put forth today. And I want to hear, what were some of your highlights personally from today's match?
Some of my highlights from today. Honestly, I think I could have played better, but for the most part, like, I feel like I did my job pretty well. You know, just peeling my backline, and like, I think I did a good job of just marking people.
Excellent. I'd say so as well. I'm gonna turn it over to you now, Dividing.
Yeah, when it came to playing against G-Force today, what would you say was your team's biggest problem? Who on G-Force do you think caused you the most issues?
Um, well, for today's loss, like I don't think it'd be fair to like pin it all on one person. I think like we all kind of made some mistakes. I don't think as a team like we were prepared as much as we thought we were.
Mhm.
But I feel like we learned a lot, so next time like we'll definitely be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, you guys are still a fantastic team. Your loss this match drops you down to the losers bracket, where if I'm reading this right, you'll be going up against Regen, who
Mm.
lost in a really great match, a 5-map thriller versus Cracked Cats in the first round. With that matchup, what are you thinking going on in that matchup? What do you think your chances are?
Um, I'm pretty confident in being my team. Like I think we'll definitely win that. Like no hate towards them. Like I'm just that confident in us.
Hey,
Uh,
confidence is always a good thing. That's all the questions I have, though.
All right. Before we close things out, Moving Fish, do you have anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone on your team, manager, coach, friend, family, pet, whoever you'd like?
Honestly, just shout out to everyone on my team. I think we all played well. I think it was more of like a team issue than an individual issue.
Gotcha, gotcha. Excellent play coming out from you today on Death Computer. And I want to wish you all best of luck in your future matches, especially coming up against Regen in the lower brackets. So, excellent play today from you. Congratulations on the MVP as well.
Thank you.
You bet. And that's going to do it from us here tonight in the casting booth. Once again, my name is Warren Jugglegod Hammond, joined on the mic by Dividing. And Dividing, before we close out, any final words for the audience at home?
Well, I'm definitely keeping an eye on the Bear Claw Gaming versus Hot Streak match that will probably be going on soon. I'm not actually sure when, but whoever wins that match, which is already a great match, is going to be going up against G-Force in the winners semifinals, and that is going to be a huge barn burner. I think G-Force has solidified themselves as one of the top contenders in this tournament, and I can't wait to see how far they can go.
Neither can I. That's going to do it from us here. Quick thank you to Refused, our producer, and everybody else in the Overwatch All-Star Brawl staff. Thank you so much for bringing us in, putting this on. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. GG's, and see you next time.
Bye.